So a lot of people hear these numbers and wonder, how did we get here? Well, disparities in education, housing, and health care are just a few reasons the South and West Sides have struggled to flourish.
Adding to all of that, neighborhood disinvestment. We know there's a link between poverty and violence, and the violence, of course, takes a toll, creating generational trauma. Jim Williams takes us to West Garfield Park, where community leaders are working every day to heal deep wounds.
The news reports are so frequent.
The crime scene tape remains after a man was shot.
You might be inclined to write off the gunfire and bloodshed as just another day in a violent city, but only if you don't live here. For the people of West Garfield Park and other communities like it, the violence is searing and no less traumatic than it was on July 4th in Highland Park.
The shooting in Highland Park is tragic. I don't wish that on anyone, but young folks experience this every day in West Garfield Park, every day.
The Reverend Walter Jones is right in the middle of it,
walking for love,
wearing many hats.
We're fathers who care. We're the West Side Community Stakeholders. We're the West Garfield Park Youth Council.
Insisting attention must be paid here, too. Listen to the young, he says.
And we were talking specifically about when you hear gunfire in the community, what do you do? Yeah. Well, they say some of us jump down, hide behind cars or something, and some of us just look and see where it's coming from because we become immune to it. We hear it all the time. Now that's heavy for a young person to have to say that.
Mental health experts remind us that the traumatized, the victims of violence, are more likely to become victimizers.
Those who have been, basically violated end up violating. And we're talking about folks who are in fact in pain. So you cannot blame a child for the life circumstance that they're born into. You just simply can't do that.
Donald Dew is the CEO of Habilitative Systems, which includes the Westside Community Triage and Wellness Center. Here, as we showed you 3 years ago,
we wanted to make sure that this was a very inviting environment.
They treat victims of trauma.
Our intention was to basically deflect folk from unnecessary emergency room placement, to deflect folk from incarceration, and to deflect folk from unnecessary institutionalization.
The Reverend Walter Jones adds to the holistic approach, providing counseling for young people, teaching them goal setting, and showing them life outside the neighborhood.
The more that we keep investing in them, the more that we keep loving on them and their parents, and the more that we bring them out of this neighborhood and show them that there's something bigger, then we have a chance.
Well, Walter Jones tells us at least 90% of the young people he works with have suffered from trauma. They've either been victims of violence or witnessed the violence.